when the CEO's son ran into my arms screaming, "My mom is gone forever." The entire building froze. I was just the janitor, the man who mopped the floors no one looked at, the man employees ignored like I was part of the furniture. But the truth, my hidden past, was something no one in that skyscraper was prepared to learn. And when the truth finally came out, it shattered the CEO, the staff, and every assumption they ever made about me. This is how it happened. My name is Harlan. I work the night shift at Oak Ridge Corporate Tower, one of the biggest tech offices in the state. Every morning, when the day staff arrived, they'd pass me by with their fancy suits, lattes, and Bluetooth headsets. They rarely said hello. Most acted like the sight of a mop somehow threatened their stock options. But one person always acknowledged me: Ethan, the CEO's 6-year-old son. He had messy blonde hair, a Spider-Man backpack, and a habit of talking to me like I was the only friend he had. "Morning, Mr. Harlan. Did you see my drawing?" He'd shove paper in my face before I could answer. I liked the kid. He had a good heart, something that was rare around here. His father, CEO Richard Hawthorne, was a different story. Self-made millionaire, cutthroat reputation, zero patience, and divorced. AE. Ethan's mother, Mara, had disappeared from the building months before. Rumors said she left the city. Others whispered something darker. But I didn't ask questions. I simply worked, cleaned, and minded my own business. Until the day everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning. Employees rushing in, phones ringing, elevators dinging, the usual chaos. Then suddenly, thump, 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 small footsteps pounding across the marble lobby. "Harlan! Harlan!" I turned just in time to see Ethan sprinting toward me, face red, breathing hard, clutching a crumpled piece of paper. Before I could say anything, he threw himself into my arms, sobbing so hard his entire body shook. He said, "They said she's gone forever." "Slow down," I whispered, steadying him. "Who's gone?" "My mom." He held up the paper, a legal document stamped with bold letters. Custody termination. I felt my stomach drop. "She didn't even say goodbye," he cried. "She left me. She left me forever." The entire lobby fell silent. Employees stared. Even the security guards froze. Richard Hawthorne, the CEO, stormed out of the elevator seconds later. "Ethan, what did I tell you about running off?" He stopped when he saw where Ethan was. In my arms. The janitor's arms. The CEO's face darkened. "Put my son down," he growled. But Ethan clung tighter. "No! Mr. Harlan is the only one who cares." The building murmured. And in that moment, I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. Not when I recognized the document, not when I recognized the pain, not when I recognized the truth Richard wasn't telling. Richard yanked the paper from Ethan's hand. "Get back to my office," he ordered his son. But Ethan refused to move. So, the CEO turned his fury on me. "This is your fault. You feed him sympathy, attention. Stop pretending you're something you're not. You're the janitor. Stay in your place." His voice was loud enough for the entire lobby to hear. I could have stayed quiet. I usually did, but not today. Because I recognized the paperwork, the format, the language. I had signed the same one 7 years ago for my own daughter. I swallowed hard. "Sir, he's in pain. He needs someone to talk to. Let him." "You are not qualified to talk to my son," he snapped. "You are nothing more than a man with a mop." The staff gasped. Ethan whispered, He's more than that." Richard ignored him. "You know nothing about family, nothing about responsibility, nothing about losing anyone." My eyes lifted, slowly, sharply. "I know more than you think," I said quietly. Richard scoffed. "Oh, really? Enlighten me." The building went dead silent. So, I told him. I was a military crisis counselor for 7 years. I worked with war orphan children, mothers who lost their sons, soldiers who lost their families. And then, I lost my wife in a car accident. The whisper in the lobby turned into a stunned hush. I didn't clean floors back then. I helped people survive their darkest days, until grief nearly drowned me, until I walked away from everything. I looked down at Ethan, and now I help where I can, even if the world only sees me as the janitor. Richard's face changed. Not angry, not superior, confused, shaken. Then he said something that made Ethan flinch. His mother didn't want him. The boy's breath hitched. I stepped closer. "You know that's not the whole truth." Richard stiffened. "How would you know?" "Because I pulled a folded paper from his pocket. Because your assistant dropped this in the dumpster yesterday." I handed it to him. A letter, unsent, from Mara. Richard hesitated before opening it. As he read, his expression slowly collapsed. The letter explained everything. Mara didn't leave Ethan. She didn't abandon him. She had a terminal illness she hid. She knew she was running out of time. She surrendered custody to protect him. And her final sentence was a knife to the heart. "Please tell Ethan I love him. And please, let him keep someone kind in his life." Richard sank into a chair, trembling. Ethan whispered, "She loved me. She really loved me?" I kneeled in front of him. "She loved you more than anything, kiddo. She didn't say goodbye because she didn't want your last memory of her to be pain." Ethan broke down again, this time into his father's arms. Richard hugged him back, sobbing. For the first time since I'd known him, the CEO was human. After that day, Richard stopped ignoring his staff. He spent more time with Ethan, he donated millions to youth therapy programs, and he greeted me every morning with respect. But the best part? Ethan found peace, slowly, painfully. But he did. And sometimes, when he runs into my arms now, not crying, but smiling, I think about how fate placed me exactly where I needed to be. Not as a CEO, not as a counselor, not as a hero, but as the janitor who understood the pain no one else could see. When the billionaire stormed downstairs and fired his maid on the spot for singing, no one dared say a word. Not the butlers, not the chef, not even the head house manager. But hours later, when he discovered what she had been singing and why, he dropped to his knees in front of the entire household staff because her voice, the same voice he silenced, had just saved his daughter's life. This is the story. Victor Langford wasn't just rich, he was untouchable, a real estate tycoon with a reputation colder than the marble floors of his mansion. His wife had died 3 years earlier. Since then, Victor drowned himself in work and built walls so high even his daughter Ella couldn't reach him. Ella was 10, quiet, anxious, sickly. She rarely smiled, rarely spoke, and the mansion staff tiptoed around her. Even though she wasn't the dangerous one, Victor was. He hated noise, he hated distractions, he hated anything that reminded him of his late wife, who was once a singer. So when a new maid named Sophia was hired, everyone warned her, don't sing, don't hum, don't play music, ever. Sophia just nodded politely, but deep down, she knew she couldn't hide her voice. Singing wasn't her hobby. It was her breath, her identity, her last piece of joy. The first week, everything went smoothly. Sophia was gentle, hardworking, respectful. Then, one morning, while dusting the upstairs hallway, she heard soft crying behind a partially opened door. Ella. Curled on her bed, hugging her knees, trembling like a leaf. Sophia stepped closer. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" Ella shook her head but wouldn't speak. Sophia sat on the floor beside the bed, not touching her, not crowding her, just being there. And then, without thinking, Sophia began humming, soft, low, like a lullaby floating through warm air. Ella's sobs slowed, her breathing steadied, and for the first time in weeks, she whispered, "Can you sing more?" Sophia did, but she didn't notice that Victor had walked into the hallway. He froze. Not because the song was bad, but because it was the exact song his late wife used to sing to him whenever he came home exhausted. It hit him like a slap. His grief, his memories, his guilt, everything boiled over. He barged into the room. "Sophia, out!" She jumped up, startled. "But, sir, I said out. You're fired. Get your things and leave my property now." Ella burst into tears. "Daddy, no! She helped me!" Victor ignored her. He turned his grief into anger, like he always did. Sophia grabbed her bag, but before she left, she whispered to Ella, "I'm always rooting for you." And then she was gone. Hours later, the house was silent. Victor tried to focus on work, but couldn't. Something gnawed at him. The way Ella cried when Sophia left, the way Sophia sang that familiar song, the way his wife's memory resurfaced like a ghost. He shut his laptop. "I need to check on Ella," he muttered. But when he opened her bedroom door, his heart stopped. She was on the floor, pale, barely conscious, breathing in shallow gasps. "Ella!" He scooped her into his arms. The household staff scrambled. Someone called an ambulance. Another brought a blanket. Victor held her tight, whispering, "Stay with me. Please, stay with me." Ella's lips trembled. "Shh, Sophia. I need Sophia." Victor froze. Why Sophia? Why her? But he didn't have time to question. He carried Ella to the car and sped to the hospital. Doctors rushed Ella into emergency care. Victor paced the hallway like a madman. No business deal had ever terrified him like this. An hour later, the pediatric specialist approached him. "Mr. Langford, your daughter has severe panic disorder. Did you know?" Victor blinked. "What? Panic? Ella's just quiet. The doctor cut him off gently. "No, she's shutting down from internal panic episodes, and based on her vitals, today's collapse was her worst ever." Victor swallowed hard. "I didn't know. I didn't see the signs." The doctor held up a notepad. "These are the only words she said while semi-conscious. I need Sophia. Sophia makes it stop." Victor's throat tightened. Who is Sophia? A caregiver? Therapist? Victor whispered ashamed. "She's the maid I fired." The doctor stared at him. "You fired the only person who could calm her?" Victor felt the ground vanish beneath his feet. "But why did he do wrong?" the doctor asked. Victor looked away. I didn't like her singing." The doctor exhaled painfully. "Mr. Langford, singing isn't noise. It's therapy. It triggers emotional regulation. If Sophia's voice calmed Ella, you need her back." Victor, shaken and desperate, rushed out of the hospital. He called every HR record, every staff member, every emergency contact. Nothing. Sophia had disappeared. Desperate, Victor drove through the city until evening, checking bus stops, shelters, small apartments, anything. Finally, he spotted her sitting at a small cafe filling out applications. Victor ran inside. "Sophia?" She looked up, startled, guarded. "Mr. Langford?" He caught his breath, voice cracking. "I was wrong. I was horribly wrong." She said nothing. "My daughter collapsed today. She asked for you. She said your singing helps her breathe." Sophia swallowed hard. "Ella is a sweet child. She reminded me of my little sister." Victor blinked. "You have a sister?" Sophia nodded. "She died of panic-induced seizures when she was 12. I couldn't save her, but I learned how to recognize the signs, how to calm someone before it gets too far." Victor stared at her, stunned. "That's why you sang?" Sophia nodded. "That lullaby was the only thing that stopped my sister's attacks. I used it instinctively with Ella." Victor's voice broke. Please come back. Not as a maid, as Ella's emotional caregiver, as whatever she needs." For the first time since his wife died, Victor felt tears sting his eyes. "I'll double your pay, your hours, anything. Just help my daughter." Sophia took a deep breath. "I'll come back. For Ella." When Sophia walked into Ella's hospital room, the little girl's eyes filled with tears. "Sophia," she whispered weakly. Sophia sat beside her and began humming softly. Just one note, and Ella's heart rate calmed. Her breathing steadied, her shoulders relaxed. Nurses stared through the glass windows in awe. The doctor whispered to Victor, "That's incredible. Music therapy on a subconscious level. This woman is gifted." Victor watched, overwhelmed. His late wife had been a singer. Ella used to sleep on her chest as she sang lullabies. And now, another voice, gentle, warm, healing, was saving his daughter again. Sophia stopped singing only when Ella fell quietly asleep. Victor approached her. "Thank you," he whispered. "You saved her. Twice." Sophia nodded softly. "She's strong. She just needs love. And consistency." Victor lowered his gaze. "I've not been a good father." Sophia spoke gently. "You've been grieving. Sometimes grief makes us blind until someone else turns on the light." When Ella was discharged, Sophia moved into the mansion full-time, not as a maid, not as staff, but as family. Ella's panic episodes decreased. Her laughter returned. She slept peacefully again. And Victor? He changed too. He ate breakfast with Ella, read to her at night, took breaks from work, and sometimes when Sophia sang in the kitchen, Victor didn't hide from the memories anymore. He closed his eyes and listened, because the voice he once silenced was now the voice that healed his daughter and his heart.
He laughed, right in her face. "A single mom flying my private jet? Don't make me laugh," the CEO sneered. Everyone in the hangar froze. But he didn't know. This single mom, with a past full of storms and grit, was about to turn his mockery into a lesson he would never forget. And when the engines failed mid-flight, he realized that courage, skill, and determination often come in the most unexpected packages. Her name was Amelia Cruz, a single mother, 32 years old, working long hours at a regional airport to support her son. Most people thought flying private jets was reserved for the wealthy elite, not someone like her. She had been a commercial pilot for 10 years, but despite her skills, she always flew smaller planes. Until today. She had been contracted to fly Richard Calloway, a tech CEO known for arrogance and his love of flaunting wealth, from his private estate to an investor meeting across the country. When she arrived at the hangar, the CEO was waiting with his entourage, all staring down their noses at her. "A single mom?" Richard smirked. "Are you sure you can handle this? This is a Gulfstream G650, not a prop plane at a regional airport." Amelia smiled faintly. "Yes, sir, I can handle it." Everyone laughed. The jet engines roared to life as Amelia performed her pre-flight checks. Richard paced the cabin, criticizing every move. "Check the flaps again. Are you sure you don't want someone more qualified?" he mocked. Amelia didn't respond. She just ran through her checklist methodically, precisely, silently proving the years of experience behind her calm exterior. They took off. Smooth ascent, clear skies, everything under control. Richard leaned back in his seat, arms crossed. "You know, I have a better idea. I'll teach you some tricks mid-flight. Might save you from crashing." Amelia's eyes narrowed slightly, but she kept flying. Silence became her shield. Her skill became her answer. Midway over the mountains, the jet lurched violently. Alarms blared, red lights flashed. Richard's entourage panicked. "Engines, what happened?" Amelia stayed calm. All engines had failed simultaneously, an extremely rare mechanical failure, but she had been trained for this. Richard shrieked, gripping his armrest. "Are you kidding me? You're going to crash us!" Amelia took a deep breath. "Everyone stay calm. This is going to be okay. Trust me." She executed a maneuver she had practiced countless times in simulations. Gliding the plane, manually controlling descent without engines, she guided it toward the nearest airstrip. Richard's face turned pale. He had never seen confidence like this, never seen calm in a storm like hers. The jet touched down, skidding slightly, but safely. Tires screeched. Smoke rose from the undercarriage. Silence hung in the cabin. Richard's jaw dropped. His entourage whispered among themselves. Amelia cut the power and calmly turned to him. "We're safe. Nobody's hurt." That's what experience and focus do. Richard sat frozen. The CEO, who mocked her less than an hour ago, was now silent, staring at the woman he had underestimated. Amelia smiled politely. "Sir, please check on your passengers. I'll handle the paperwork and inspection." He barely moved. He had no words, no arrogance left. He had just witnessed skill, courage, and composure under pressure. When they walked out of the jet, Richard's entourage whispered, She really did it. She's amazing." Richard stayed quiet. Finally, he turned to Amelia. I underestimated you," he said, voice low. "I judged you before you even started. I mocked you. That was wrong. You saved us all." Amelia nodded. "Thank you, sir, but I don't need your apology. I just did my job." He swallowed hard. "You've earned more than respect. You've earned my trust, and I'd like to offer you a permanent position flying my fleet, if you're willing." Amelia considered it. She could continue flying regional planes closer to her son, or she could accept a high-profile position with the billionaire who doubted her. She smiled. "Let me think about it." Richard learned something invaluable that day. Never underestimate someone based on status, family situation, or gender. Courage, focus, and skill are measured not by title, wealth, or ego, but by action in moments that truly matter. Amelia, the single mom pilot, had taught a billionaire CEO the power of humility. And she had reminded the world that real heroes don't always wear uniforms, suits, or medals. Sometimes they just step into the cockpit and save lives with courage and calm. And as she walked away from the hangar that day, Amelia held her head high, not because she had won a billionaire's approval,